What up, what up, what up? We are back with episode 2 of Hillman Rewind. I'm so excited to be here. We welcome all our new listeners, all of our returning listeners. We hope that you can ride it out with us as we take a journey down memory lane as we discuss episodes of a different world. Ray, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Hillman family, what's going on? What's going on
All right,
today?
so go ahead.
No, you good. I'm happy to be back. Let's get it. Back like we never left.
Back like we never left. What are the themes for today?
The themes for today, what do we have? We have non-traditional students. We
Mhm.
have budget and financial responsibility. Gotta be good with that money. And nighttime conversations in the dorm.
Cool beans. So if this is your first time listening to us, we discuss three things from each episode. We're currently on season 1, episode 2. And then at the end of the episode, you're gonna get some Hillman homework because we're all about learning and sharing and growing together. And then we'll wrap off with our favorite quote and our favorite song. So non-traditional students, Ray, you touched on this a little bit on the last episode talking about Jaleesa, right? You remember what you said about her, the rumors that were spreading about her?
Right. Rumors spread fast, but she was 26. That
Hmm.
wasn't a rumor. That was a fact.
That was a
We
fact.
still we still don't know if she's been to jail yet.
I know
She
that kind of
has
bothers me. I don't even remember if we ever find out. Like, we don't know if she's a felon or not, but multiple people hinted to the fact that she might be some type of criminal. So that's truly
right.
non-traditional.
So would it
Yeah.
bother you? All right. Depending on the school, you might be a thing.
I mean, but back then, was it? Because nowadays they
No.
ask you when you fill out your financial aid if you have a criminal record. But I mean, if you're
Right.
paying with cash, it wouldn't even matter, I guess. I think I'd want to
Wouldn't matter.
know if I had a killer in my dorm.
Right. A criminal record doesn't mean a killer, but I get
Right.
it. You know,
It could be something
could have
minor.
stolen a car, been in the car with somebody who stole a car. You didn't know you got caught up. You never know.
You could have keyed up a
Yeah.
car and got a little soft felony, so, soft,
Whatever.
charge for that, so minor,
Little assault, not big,
nothing
whatever.
big, nothing major. I really relate to her because I was a non-traditional student. I was a mom since I was 20. So when I got my bachelor's degree, I was untraditional. And then when I went to Clark, I was non-traditional because I wanted to try for the Miss CAU. And I didn't know that you couldn't try. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't know that you couldn't do CAU if you'd ever been married. If you weren't single, obviously you can't be a Mrs. of anywhere, even if you're divorced. They don't qualify you as a Miss CAU, so you can't get the opportunity to do that. Did you know that?
Interesting. Did not know that. I didn't even know they
Yeah.
thought that ahead to have to put those rules in place. Like,
Maybe they added them
I would,
later, but I know I didn't qualify
yeah,
to
some
apply
some
for
people
it.
slid.
Yeah. And when I was at UGA with my daughter, I couldn't live in family housing either. I had to get an apartment because family housing only qualified if you had multiple kids or if you were married. So I had one person, I was a single mom, so I had to make it work outside of campus. Do you remember any non-traditional students while you were there, while you were in college?
Um, oh yeah, most definitely. Believe it or not, it was a lot of my friends that I made they were older. They were already at Clark or back in the day they would allow you to participate in certain things at Clark and they were in high school kicking it around Clark. Washington High School's right up the street. A lot of them just came around between Morris Brown, Clark Atlanta, and Morehouse. There was a lot of by the time they got there, they were already acclimated as a college student, by the
So you
time
had
they
high
became
school
students.
students just walk around campus with y'all?
Oh yeah,
Like
definitely.
seniors
Sometimes
or like all the ages? Like, did you know if they were
I,
babies or not?
I wouldn't really know. I know by the time I got there, it wasn't anything that happened too often, but we also had it's an HBCU, so the community was around the college. You know what I mean? We had the
Right.
projects up the street. We had neighborhoods that were intertwined within the university.
Mm-hmm.
So you would see people all the time get off their buses or whatever, or walking home or whatever it may have been. But I know there were people there before. I got there that said, yeah, when I was a senior, I used to come over here and play with Clark all the time, like practice with Clark's band all the time. And then that's how I ended up coming to Clark, So by the time I got there, they were like either super seniors or, like you said, non-traditional
Yeah.
students, you know. But I
When I
had a
think about
few.
non-traditional students and I think about fraternities and sororities, do you know what comes to mind?
What?
IOTAs. IOTAs come to mind. I know. IOTAs come to mind. I've always loved and respect Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated because they were founded from non-traditional students. The people who founded, the men who founded that organization, they were mostly military people. They had wives, they had families. And when they walked around the campus, they didn't have anyone that looked like them. They had the same issues as them that was budgeting life like them. So they started their own organization. So whenever I think about me being a non-traditional female, I'm reminded that had I been a man, and had I had IOTAs in my village, I might have went that way. Just saying,
You've been
because
an
they're
iota.
non-traditional and they related to me. I didn't feel when I was in college, I was the only person that had a child. Actually just went to my 25th alumni thing 2 weekends ago, and everyone remembers my child because she was everybody's child. I was the only one that had a
Mm.
kid. And it's hard. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go to that many organizations. I took my kid to class with me sometimes. So I know what it's like to be non-traditional. But in this particular episode, they weren't just talking about non-traditional age-wise. Wasn't some other situations that happened on the show? You remember?
Um, you know, we had the new roommate. The new roommate was
She was from the
she was
country.
white
She was
from the
white.
country.
She was
She was
white.
white. And she
Hmm.
was cool though. She was cool. I like people like that. That send themselves letters. You know, give them motivation. Give them motivation. Like, yo, you made mad friends. Good job. Keep going.
I mean,
You
honestly,
know,
that really should have been the homework this week to write a letter to ourselves and see where we want to be in a
right.
year. I've done that before. I like that when they brought her on. Well, I don't know if I like it or not, but I noticed that when they brought her on, they didn't make any digs to her race. Now, in
Nah,
reality, in the real
they
world,
didn't take
society was
yeah.
talking about it. Yeah, but when we are the only person on the show, it's noticed that we're the only black person, we're the only woman. You know what I'm saying? But they brought her on in as a black community and black people that we are, for the most part. You good, we good. She was nice and she was welcoming. She was excited. She was a little eccentric, very talkative, kind of reminds me of somebody I know. But she was cool. She was cool. How do you feel?
Right.
Did you have a lot of white people at the HBC while you were there?
Um, Not a lot, but we had a few. There was we had it was like maybe I want to say I could probably count on one hand that of what I saw.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing too crazy. They was cool, you know what I mean? Acclimated in well. We bring people in like that. Us as a African American society, we do that. Like we don't really
Yeah.
be like, hey, ostracized because of who you are. It's like you here, let's get to it. I don't really care what you are. You could have been purple coming in this
Yeah.
thing. As long as you put in the work, let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's get to it.
As long as you got a good character. That's my experience. What I find crazy though, looking back, I went to a PWI and I walked away with one white friend. Like that's it.
Mm.
I think one of each one. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I didn't have any white friends because the black culture, we hung thick. Like we be thick with each other. So when you see another black person in the room, obviously you speak to them. That's who you study with. That's who you feel, in my opinion, that's who I felt more comfortable with. And I walked away from UGA without any, I knew other white people. I didn't dislike white people, but I wasn't bringing them home for the weekend and I wasn't hanging with them late at night. We wasn't sharing recipes and, sharing food from home.
I want to say I grew up around both. So to me, it's normal. If I see like if I was like on campus, I saw a white person on campus. To me, that's regular because I personally grew up with both. Like one of my close friends, his name was John. He would come over to the house at the cookouts, and he was invited to the
Hmm.
cookouts. Yes, y'all, he was invited to the cookouts.
Y'all grew up
Yeah.
together like y'all knew each other for years?
Yeah, he was cool. We've known each other since middle school. We was in the same after school programs. We ended up in the same high school. I used to go to his house for different events. It was cool. He was the only really, to be honest, he was the only white kid that hung around a bunch of black kids, you know.
Hmm.
And but he was cool. John was cool as it gets, you know. We had a lot of great moments. So like for me to see people, like we had a homeboy at Clark, his name was Zach. It was just like another day. For me, it was just like it was Zach. Hey, what up, Zach? Cool. You know, and to me, I
It's so
didn't think
nice
of
how
it like, oh,
you're so kind to everybody, but mean to me. I just love to hear when you're really kind to other
look,
people that's not Nicole. But go ahead, continue.
that sound a little, jealous of Zach
Oh,
and
I
my
am
white friend.
jealous. I am jealous. I am jealous that you could be nice to everybody else. I don't
Let
want
me
the
tell it.
audience to get I don't want them to get the impression that I don't like white people because I do. I just noticed that walking away, we didn't have a lot of kinship. I mean, we do stuff together. We go to class or whatever, do a field trip. We had one, but it didn't come home with me. I went to a diverse high school as well. I cheered with a lot of other white women, and actually a couple of them went to UGA with me. But once we got there, they went and joined their sororities and lived in the sorority houses, and I just didn't come across them very often.
I
It was
just I
different.
just I just want to say, I want to stamp that guys, Nicole has this dope shirt on filled with African Americans, males and women. It is dope. It is giving the back in the day theme. I just want everybody to know
Mhm.
how dope that shirt looks. That was my nice thing for the
I
episode.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm a rewind. I'm gonna remember what this moment is so I can play back that compliment. I can't ever say you didn't
Right.
compliment me at least once, right? At least one
Right. No,
time. All right, cool
no doubt.
bet. Let's go on to the second theme. You ready?
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk about budgeting and financial responsibility that Denise did not have at all.
Not at
We've
the
all been there.
beginning, but 27 minutes later, she understood the concept of money,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. She didn't. She
By the
didn't.
end of the episode, she got a job.
She got a
It's a
job,
start.
but she had like five checks bounce. Like them things was bouncing like a basketball. Just let's
I think it was four.
rewind.
Rewind.
Let me
Explain what a bounce
rewind.
is.
So first, we don't know how to write checks. Checks is like grandma, auntie. That's what
Not
they
us,
do. You know what I
we,
mean?
the world, we. I know how
I'm,
to write a check.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I've written like maybe three checks my whole life. I didn't need them. You know what I mean? Especially because when I was in college, my parents just used Western Union. Went
Mm.
to the grocery store, picked up my money. It was gone in like 3 days. So I get Denise 1,000%. You know what I mean? Like I
So
was not.
today, you don't write checks now? Like you don't know how to write a check to this day?
I know how to write a check, but I don't write them. Like who writes a check these days? You
I
you know
write
you
checks.
just go. Why do you write checks?
I write checks for a couple of reasons. So I write checks for my HOA. They accept checks, and it's much easier to write a check and walk next door because you can't pay online. They're a very old school community. I write checks for my business because it lets me track what I spent. And it also gives you a couple of days. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Um, and I guess for those two reasons, I write checks for the house and I write checks for the businesses. And in my
I
sorority,
write.
we write checks all the time in the
No, I don't
sorority.
write. I don't write. When I DJ, send it to me Cash App. Send it to me and Zelle. Don't write me a check. I don't want to go in the bank. I don't want to stand there and then they charge you a fee. I don't want to take a picture of it on my phone and have to wait
They
3 to 5
Zelle you
business.
when you DJ? When
They
I do
Zelle
stuff
me and it
for colleges, they always write me a check. Every college I've ever done
no.
work for, they write me a check.
I tell them don't write me a check. You know what I mean? I don't
I
want a
didn't even
check.
know if I could
Even
ask
even
that.
even PayPal. You could PayPal me as well. I don't want to have to go to the cash checking place. Like that's
You could
real.
take a picture of it.
Then it
It's
takes three to
cool.
five business days. Like they
Why do
only
you
give you
need it
like
so
$20.
fast? You don't need it right that minute. You know what I'm saying? Writing
Because I'm
checks.
like,
Okay, so no, we're teaching
I'm
lessons.
not
So even
financially responsible.
even
Let's talk about
even
let's
if you're
talk
not writing
about
a check, are you balancing your checkbook, your metaphorical checkbook? Are you tracking what you spend?
I do
No.
have a
Mm.
budgeting app on my Google Docs. So I am good at that because when you're not financially responsible, you got to know exactly how much you got left over after you pay all of them bills. You got to be like, you know what? I got 400 to last me to the next check. Let me make that happen. So, ladies, don't
That's
expect,
wild.
don't expect a super expensive dinner. You know what I mean? Because I'm budgeting. You know how
No,
that
no,
works?
sir. It ain't gotta be super expensive. It can be quality. It can be quality without being super expensive. What's a nice date? What's a good budget for a first date? Let's say a
In
first date.
Georgia, in Georgia, since winter only lasts like a month, a picnic would be a good first date. You know, go to the
What
park,
are
a
you talking
picnic.
about a
Um,
month? It's been cold for a minute. It's been cold since October and we're in February. It's just now
It,
starting to
it
warm up.
it hasn't been
It
cold
snowed how many
in
times? You're joking.
twice.
It snowed a lot. Twice in your area. It snowed at least 3 times. And it was over a course of more than a month. It gets cold here too. Don't let people think that it don't get cold. They on Instagram. Y'all saw them doing that snow, the sleds in Piedmont Park.
I'm from Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut where it's still snowing right now. And is the South doesn't see it like the North sees it. I just want to throw
We
that out
don't,
there.
but that doesn't mean it's not cold. You know what? There's a lady from
You're like,
Alaska.
oh my God, Alaska.
No, the girl from
Like,
Alaska says that it's cold here, colder here than it is in Alaska. That Alaska don't have that cold wind breeze chill. She said she could be in a t-shirt in Alaska and she needs a whole big jacket in the ATL. Don't hate on us. We get all the seasons. We get all the
we
seasons. Let's go back to this picnic. What you packing in the picnic? You got a picnic
uh,
basket for this girl?
no. Do I need to go buy a picnic basket?
You
A
said a
picnic? Am
first
I
date
like,
could be a picnic. I didn't say
yeah,
picnic. You did.
I can't put it in a cooler. I gotta have like the whole picnic basket with the
I'm just asking you,
flowers.
what are you feeding her? What are you
All right,
feeding her?
I'm gonna step my game up. I obviously need to step my game up. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Hey, y'all, give him some recommendations. Give him some recommendations on what a dope
I'm such a
first
let's
date
meet
would
at
be.
JR Crickets. I'm such a like let's get a drink and talk it
Is
out.
J.R.
The
Crickets a
conversation
restaurant or a bar?
it's a bar. My thoughts are, it's about the conversation. It's not about me breaking my bank because I want to be able to solidify whatever we do. I don't want
That's
to
so cute.
I don't want to give I don't want to give you false hopes because now I
That's
done
so
took
cute.
you super expensive $500 restaurant and now I'm broke. So
Who said it had to be
we can't
500?
really
You could spend like 50. I think 50 is reasonable for a first date.
cool.
50,
That's JR. Two drinks and
I
an appetizer.
an appetizer, so she can't be hungry.
I'm not
Got
gonna
it.
lie. I'm such a hibachi fan.
Oh,
I'll
I
break
love
the bank on some.
hibachi.
I will
But you
break the
gonna have
bank.
leftovers. All right, so when we going to hibachi? We can talk about that after the episode. When we're going to hibachi, because I'm here for it.
Hibachi's
Okay,
my
cool.
my joint.
I'm here for it. Let's go to hibachi. We can have our next
City, let's
meeting at
do it.
hibachi. Did you have
Hibachi.
any, yeah, you have any financial lessons that you learned from college? Do you have any situations in your head that
Um,
you remember?
I can tell you, anybody that's been in a dorm knows that ramen noodles is like how you survived. You know what I mean? In the
Life.
dorm,
Yes.
that was like a
That's a good
thing.
date in college. You sacrifice your
I
noodles.
they had dorm room fees. I didn't have that in the
What you
dorm.
mean?
They had like monthly fees.
Like
She had to
after you
keep
pay
cutting a
your
check.
two, oh yeah, 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 that's right. That's right on the show.
We didn't have that. The only thing, to be honest, by the time we got to college, we didn't have the payphones either. I had the payphone in high school, but the payphones was pretty much gone by the time. Was it? Yeah, I felt like by the time our first year of college,
Yeah.
payphones was pretty much obsolete. You know what I mean?
I feel like they were
But
obsolete in high school. Payphones were gone.
I didn't really rock out the collect calls like that, but it brought back some memories from high school where, I didn't have my little quarter or my
And your
dime and I
sock.
couldn't really
Yeah.
I had the 1-800, that thing. And but her parents were the people that was like, I accept the charges. I was the person that was like, they was like, state your name. It's Ray, I'm stuck at school. Come get me. And then
No, you keep that quarter in your shoe for the payphone. And when it comes up, you says, I'm at this address. Come, I'll be right outside. Hang up. Ain't nobody gotta
right,
accept your
right.
phone call. They got all the information they needed in
It
that
was
little thing.
like I don't want to accept, and then they come and get you. They come and
Be
get
like,
you.
man, I almost left the house. I missed your call. And we had landlines. When I was in college, my freshman year, you didn't have to do 10 digits. You only had to do the seven. Back then, you didn't have to
Just
put the
had to
area code in.
see that it depends though, because I had to get, I'm from Connecticut. I had to go get the prepaid card because I couldn't
For the
dial
landline?
203. Yeah, for the landline all the way to Connecticut, we
Okay,
203.
how about
So I
this?
had
Back in the day, you didn't talk on the phone, period, until after 7 o'clock.
oh yeah, yeah, facts. The facts. Like
Tell them why.
my parents had singular because the calls was free after 7. They
Free.
didn't have AT&T, it was singular. That was
Mm-mm.
that, Bell South.
Kids have no
That my
idea. They be on their phones endlessly. You couldn't text nobody. You wasn't calling nobody. But as soon as it got late, everybody was on the phone. Everybody. It was
but
great.
what I realized is the difference between Denise and me was I was asking my mom for money. I was like, "Hey, mom, I'm broke. Can you hook me up?" Denise was like, "I want to do it myself. They took care of me, you know."
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, "I got the scholarship. They owe me." And I was like, "Nah," but I would ask if I was completely broke. And I felt like I needed it. I would ask my parents didn't always have it, but you know, it was my mom was the go-to. My dad was saying no.
Because you
He
were a
had this thing,
well-off kid. Did you have a
you
touch of
know,
privilege in there?
no, no, no. My dad would say stuff like, before I can even ask the question, my dad be on the phone. I'm like, Dad, I just want to know. But he'd be like, no.
Because he knows his sign.
I'm like, I was like, because I just wanted to know if mom was home. Sheesh, can I talk to mommy, please? And then she would get on the phone like, Mom, bro, I need you. I need you. And she'll
That's
be
so
like,
nice that you could call parents for money. Man,
my
we
mom
used to
would be
be
like,
so broke. We used to be so broke that we couldn't use the ATM. So we'd put all of our money on one person's account just to get 20 bucks out the ATM. That's how broke we
mm,
were. You
I
could,
get
because you
that.
couldn't, once you get under $20, you can't use the ATM for nothing.
I
Or
can
we
say
used
my
to use
parents
our little credit from the bookstore. We don't buy the books, we buy food instead. Did you
that
get
I
book?
did that. I can say that. I did that. I was in music
Yeah.
books for nothing like that. So like there was a few books that we had to get with nothing too crazy.
Hmm.
And so I used the rest. That's like I take out an extra loan just so I could get that refund check. You know what I mean? We would take
Be balling
they
on
would
that
take
refund
the park
check.
card, right? We'll take our park card and go to CVS and get a money order and cash it to ourselves.
Oh, I never
They
tried
can't do
that.
that no more. You can't do that no more. They don't do that these days. But back
Okay.
then that was like a thing. I was like, oh, I got an extra 500 balling. Let me go get this money order for 500. Go across the street to the bank. Find a way to make
Hustling.
one.
Find a way of
That's how
making
we
one.
had
You
to.
know what? They actually say that in this episode. They say, find a way. I think Bill, like her dad says it back to her. Um,
Mhm.
Last topic, nighttime conversations. You had all the roommates. What y'all be talking about at night?
I did have all the roommates. We talked about women. We talked about things we saw on campus. Was to be honest, a lot of times we plan the next day. Hey, yo, what time you getting up for breakfast? When's your first class? Those type of things.
Hmm.
Um, it was probably your most vulnerable moments. They'd be like, hey, bro, especially I had a
Mm.
bunk bed. I had to knock on a bunk bed. It's like jail a little bit. Knock on a bunk bed, be like, hey, yo, you up? One of those. If
That's
you see those,
cute. Who's your bunkmate?
my bunk man, his name was Sean. His name was Sean. He was from Hampton, Connecticut. Oh, cool people, cool people. Trumpet
Were you at
player.
the top or the bottom?
I was at the bottom bunk. Got the bottom bunk. He had the top bunk.
Mm.
Short people like stuff like that. So he he did a little,
Which one's the short one, you
Mario.
or him?
He did the
Oh, he was
little,
the short person, not you. Got it.
he was
Because
short.
they don't know how tall you are. Okay.
Did you just take a dig at my height just now?
You said short people do that. I didn't know if you were saying you were short, so you want to be at the bottom, or if you were short,
Uh,
so you want to be at the top. I was confused on who was short.
if he's shorter than me, I can say that.
Mm.
You know what I
I
mean? He
mean,
was
at least
shorter
17 people are shorter than me. At least 17 other people in the world are shorter than me
in the world,
in the world. At least 17.
at
You
least.
see that there?
I
Yeah.
get
Hmm. Um,
it.
I didn't, my roommate moved out. My roommate moved out after the first semester after my birthday. So I didn't have a lot of nighttime conversations. We played
He was
spades.
Jaleel.
We played spades, is what I was saying. So at night, at night, we played spades all night until the sun came up when we were in college. We'd all hang out in the lobby of the dorm and we play cards. Oh, we used to watch movies. First time I ever seen Scarface was my freshman year in the dorm. I had never seen it before.
So I can say I was that college student. I was the college student that gave other people the experience that they didn't get at home because their parents didn't allow. Like they would come to my room. That'd be the first time they watch Boys in the Hood. It'd be like, you ain't never seen this. I feel like
Yeah.
my parents like they allowed us to gain those experiences. Like I watched all the black movies, where I
I
have
like my kids
friends
watch all the
that
black movies. Do your kid watch all the black movies? Does she know all the things? She's in high school now, so
yeah, she tries. She's scary.
mm.
She tries though. What I mean? my
Where'd she
my
get that
daughter
from?
is my daughter is privileged.
Oh,
Uh
my kids are privileged too, especially that little
is
one. Whew,
it's
that's
like it's,
that's putting it
I
nicely.
practically have I'm 2 seconds from having a private school kid. Like she's privileged. Like she gets it. You know what I mean? I try to say no as much as I can just so I can humble her down to what's what. You know what I mean? But you would think she lives in a dorm, right? Because she be up in her room and I see the lights on and she be having the nighttime conversations like, back in the day where you would just be on the phone, the landline, and you
Yeah.
just be talking, you know what I mean? Like she does that with her cell phone. I just be like, it's 1 o'clock. What's happening right now? It's 1 o'clock
Oh,
in the
that's
morning. Why y'all
nice.
still
She's building bonds at 1 o'clock in the morning. That little
it,
one, she be up at 8 a.m. on the FaceTime with her grandfather. They be talking about the news and what's going on in the world. She's 9. Why does she need to be
yeah,
having, she doesn't have late night. She has early morning conversations.
I get the text messages as every so
You do.
often. The guy
She
text
be wanting
messages,
to
which
know
is
what
like,
her goddaddy's doing. She
what
wanna know
is
when you
what is
coming to get
happening?
her. I talked to her though about her tone. We've had a conversation. I'm trying to let her know that she's 9 and not 90. We're working on it. You know what
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
She sends
I,
me cute dog. Like, this is cute. I'm like, it is cute. I don't really know what to say back to a 9-year-old. Um but I do remember I can't say there were a lot of moments in college where I'm not even gonna lie, I probably wasn't even in my room. Like we was
Mhm.
partying, we was having moments like that. And I was in a marching band. So being in a marching band built such like a very close bond that I fall asleep on somebody's couch in a heartbeat and wake up and just go back to my dorm, take a shower, change, and then go to class. We were tight. Even to this day, a lot of my friends in Atlanta are people that I marched in the band with, lifelong bonds. They it's like a fraternity in itself. And we've had a lot of nighttime trash talk, conversations. With fellas, it's more trash talk than anything. Women is like, hey girl, I apologize for what I did earlier. Like y'all do that type of stuff. Men be like, man, put your pants up,
You
relax,
know
pull your
what?
skirt down.
We
We'll
teach
be
each
out.
other how to be ladies too. I learned how to press my hair in college. I started learning playing with makeup in college. We come from all these different areas to this one location at a PWI at that. And we taught each other how to like be adults, you know? We already knew how to do laundry, we knew how to cook, but everybody had different techniques of how to get makeup done the fastest and get their hair done the fastest or hair products, especially in an isolated area where you don't got a lot of black brands. So I guess that's what the girls talked about. And all four of us, and I have a college kid today, all four of them girls can sleep in that little tiny ass twin size bed. They just pile up and they will be knocked out. She did it last night. She crashed at Spelman, which is where this was filmed with her girlfriends.
Facts. Okay,
Facts.
Spelman.
Yeah,
You
her
know, you know,
closest college friend is at Spelman.
does your daughter have like a lot of clothes, like Denise? Did you notice that was like a reference? Like, oh, she got a lot of clothes. Fellas look like they had a lot of clothes in college, but we wore each other clothes. Hey, bro, let me borrow that
Oh,
shirt.
really? That's nice. It's really rare. And it's probably because it's rare for women. Well, my child, let's be honest, she might not like this. She ain't got no boobs. So all
Uh,
her friends and their clothes, they all do. So people can't borrow her clothes. They can't fit into her clothes, you know? And I was the same way, flat as a board when I was in college. So they don't really borrow each other's clothes for real, for real. They might sleep in each other's clothes, but their outside clothes, they don't really they FaceTime though to check to make sure their outfits are fit. You know, they looking like each other. But no, they don't
I
really
was gonna
bother clothes.
say comments like that is probably why your roommate moved out. But we're gonna moving on.
My roommate moved out over a bloody rug, and we can get onto that a totally different day. All right? If something
yeah,
comes around, we'll get to that a little bit later. Are there
Easy.
any funny moments, any stories about college that relate to any of these themes that you're thinking about?
Um, I can say Dwayne Wayne, man, like shout out to Dwayne Wayne. Like that was my favorite character.
I was just about to ask you that. I
Um
can tell.
I wanted the glasses when I was younger. You know what I mean? Dwayne is a person that he's a numbers guy. You know what I mean? You can tell
Yes.
he's a numbers guy because he keep going. No matter how many doors are slammed in his face, he keep going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I want to say Dwayne was probably the funny one, some of the funnier moments. Um what I want to say is like how he hollered at Whitley and Denise, and they like are friends. Like they like the fact that they know each other. And he would holler at one right there, and so he gets shot down. He'll turn around and holler at the other, like like, all right, that didn't work. Hey, you
I
come
can't
here
wait
real
to get
quick. Let
him
me talk.
in. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those episodes when his character really starts to shine because he got some lines for your mama. He's so smooth and he's like a nerd, but he's still like attractive. I don't know how they merge the two different things in the character, but they do it. Dwayne,
Yeah,
let me would have been in college with him. He wouldn't be chasing all them girls. We'd be locked in. If we'd be locked in, and he was a STEM major. My little math degree I
he
got
would.
going on.
I wouldn't have been my thing because he would have been saying stuff like "brokey." Dwayne didn't have no money. You know what I mean?
But
He
look
spent all
where
his
we
time.
see how it ended, though. Don't nobody got money in college. When you're in college, you're not looking for somebody that got money. Looking for somebody that's gonna treat you
Broke.
right. Wait, I
No,
think
I
it's like
get it.
season two, maybe season three, when he starts to get a salve. Doesn't he work there for a minute?
Yeah, he's been, yeah, he did some
We're gonna
things. He
see.
did
We're
some
gonna see what
things.
happens as they grow. I'm excited though to see where these seasons are
Yeah,
gonna grow. Watching it for the first time all over again, being an adult and especially having a kid in college, you having a kid in high school, it hits differently. Um,
definitely, definitely.
yeah. You want to share the homework? Are we ready to? No, let me sum up the episodes. You do the homework. So we did three themes today, three themes. We focused on non-traditional students, not only students that are different, different backgrounds, different races, different ages, just people that are different and still working it out in college and pursuing their goals. Really want everybody to pursue their goals, no matter what your situation may be. If you want it, go for it. Our second theme was budget and finances, being financially responsible as a college kid, and those late night conversations with your dorm mates and your friends. What's the homework?
So Hillman Homework, right? All right, y'all ready for this homework? I know nobody likes homework, but this is gonna be fun, right? What's your biggest financial lesson that you learned in college?
Mhm.
Did you ever struggle to make ends meet? You know what I mean? Drop the stories in the comments, tag us, Hillman Homework, right? Make sure you get your homework done. That's how you get the best practice.
Yep. Do you have a story that you can share with the people before we wrap it up?
Um, I want to say, so my biggest struggle, right? My mom sent me money before, and me being me, I had to go to class, and at this time, I was driving on campus. So I parked my car, and the money I just got from Western Union, I put it in my armrest, right?
Hmm.
I come out, car broken into, car's gone,
Your car is
and
gone?
car's gone, money's gone. We got the car back, but the problem was when we got the car back, they went through my car, they took the money. The guys got arrested, but they had money on them. So the police kept the money and said that because they couldn't decipher the difference between both. So I had to call back home, and not only get a window replaced. Shout out to Brandon. That's the person that replaced the window. Shout out, shout out. And mom said it's gonna take a little bit. So during that time, I had to ramen noodle that thing. It was a struggle. You know what I mean? Get the hot water, throw it in the microwave. You know how that works. Put the little,
Hmm.
get that bag, blah 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 blah. And it was humbling. Definitely humbling, man. It taught me to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row. You know what I mean? Not to leave things on the seat, things to that extent. So I learned.
Okay, okay. Well, your story inspired my story. I can be a little impatient at times, there might be a surprise detail about me, but I can be a little impatient and I really wanted a car in college. So I used my refund to buy this used car, and it was a clutch. It was a stick. I didn't know how to drive a stick. But I was like, hey, I'm smart. I can figure this out. I spent my entire refund on this Metro. Remember the Metros back in the day? Chevy Metro.
Man,
At a Chevy Metro, she was so cute. This little red, ruby red car. She was missing one of her side mirrors, but it's cool. I didn't really need that. It was a necessity. I burnt out my clutch. I didn't know how to drive it. I burnt out my clutch the first month. Coming back and forth from campus to the house, I would stall out on the side of the road, and I would just be sitting there in rush hour traffic trying to get into second and third gear. What I learned from that, when I was on my way to burning out my second clutch, I learned some patience. I learned that had I saved up just a little bit more, waited one more semester, I would have had enough to get an automatic, and I would have had enough to get a car off the lot that would have been more guaranteed instead of breaking
right.
down every time I got in the car. So it was a struggle. She made it 2, 3 months, and then I ended up giving it away, losing money on it to use that money to buy another car. But I wouldn't take it back.
Mm.
I learned a lot from them, and I haven't driven a stick since. Still haven't learned how to drive a stick properly. So, anybody in Atlanta offering lessons, I would love to learn how to drive a stick, but I ain't there.
I I haven't driven a stick since I was in my 20s, but I think it's like riding a bike. I can get back right into it. Not a big deal. I
That's
think.
what's up.
I don't know.
I haven't ridden a bike in a long time
Burn
either, but we're not gonna get into that. Huh? I haven't. I want a bike. I haven't ridden a bike in forever. But
look,
yeah. We won't get into it. Okay, so before I leave you, I want to share my favorite quotes. My favorite quote from this episode. There was a few different quotes related to Denise trying to figure out her whole money situation. She was saying how she didn't want her parents to save her. She said, I'm in college, I'm busy, I have responsibilities, even though she wasn't being responsible. But the quote that won on this episode is, I'm so proud of me. So she figured out a way to get her fees paid and her roommate fees paid, and she handled the entire situation by herself. And at the end, she says, I'm so proud of me. I like that quote because I don't feel like we give ourselves enough grace sometimes. I feel like adulting can be hard, it can be challenging, but we've got to learn how to give ourselves grace and celebrate our wins. So I want to say that, Ray, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the man that you've become. I'm proud of what we've overcome over the years, and I'm proud to be doing this podcast with you. I'm proud of us.
word.
Hmm.
I am proud of you as well for the things that you have accomplished and where we've come, right? We're family, you know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying?
are.
So I get it, I get it. So on my end, the vibes, the music vibes, what are we going with today? So this episode really resonated with me, right? So I am going with Whitney Houston. Remember when we had it all? And my basis of that is just Denise kind of said something like, "Yo, my parents took care of me my whole life." You know what I mean? I want to kind of get it. I want to get to it on my own. And the first line of that song says, "Remember when we held it all, held on in the rain." You know what I mean? And them dorm fees, it made a difference. Like for her to have to go, fine, struggle. You know what I mean? Go get a job. And later on episodes and things to that extent, I think she'll be able to look back on it and say, look, I did that. She told her dad, I'm proud of me. He was like, would I be proud of you? He's like, you'll be proud of me too. You know what I
Yeah, he
mean?
did.
So yeah, we going with the vibes of Whitney Houston. Remember when we had it all? Go listen to it, jam to it, rock to it, get back. And that's also a 1987 hit, by the way.
Okay, I appreciate that. I was wondering when that one came out. Remember when we had it all? I like it. I like it. I like it. I guess that's it. That's gonna wrap up this second episode. You got any last remarks you want to say?
No, I have nothing big. Just, like I always say, man, like a good beat, keep the vibe going and let the music play.
Remember, words have power, so make yours count.